Taas ko sa kabila. Pero, tikit yan ha, buo ha.
Yatansya ko lang kahapon.
Kasi tulak mo buti. Tulak mo. Hindi mo, nang ano ka eh.
Ako lang.
Tulak mo rin. Walang nang ano. Isa lang ba masasabi? Isa lang. Hindi, 10 sila po rin.
Panigurado lang.
Isang batalyon.
Baka mahirapan ako siya.
Solo flight ako ngayon ni Jokes. Ba't ka sabi ko? Ay, yan sa Manila. Ang gamay ba? Depende kasi kung ano ka, from direct na phone, sometimes pre, kasi direct to the phone. So, kuha mo lahat yung ano. Pero for him kasi katulad sa kanya, may receiver siya, may wireless mic siyang gamit. So, kung ano yung galing sa mic, yun yung makukuha niya. Yun yung kagandahan na itong setup na to. So, sa video quality, sa signal ka naman depende. Kung pangit signal mo, pangit na rin yung video quality. Pag maganda yung morning, sir.
Pwede pa kumabit ka.
Hindi, meron na nag-ano. Okay. Pindutan na!
From now on, open.
Ayan. Maraming sa...
Ay, parang ko. Ilaw.
Ay, grabe ah. Ano? Dito.
Ulo.
Yun lang. Signal lagi siya. Lagi na tao. Oo.
Ulo.
Ulo, maraming ulo. Okay na yan. Pwede na yan eh.
Morning everyone. Hindi na po natin ito patatagalin kasi alam naman natin na marami na tayo matagal na natin gusto marinig magsalita si George. Okay. Brief context lang, no? Pero although hindi man kailangan, during the past few days, marami na po tayo narinig na mga issues sa motorcycle taxi industry, and si George po ngayon is here to answer all those concerns, all those issues. And later on po, after, I think George prepared a presentation, no? A brief presentation. And then afterwards po, it's time for you naman to answer questions. So without further ado, thank you very much again for coming. I pass on the mic na to George Riego.
So guys, thank you everybody, media, friends. Salamat na pumunta kayo dito. I know some of you guys have been calling over the last couple of days, and it really took us time to be able to prepare for today. So I just want to point out, no, I was told by my team not to make jokes this press con. So from now on, I will be serious. Pag hindi kayo natawa, hindi ko po kasalanan yun, kasalanan po ng team ko. So yun yung last joke ko, promise. So I've prepared a statement for today. And then I will do a presentation, and then we can start with the questions. Okay, so many things have. So this is the first time also that I've prepared us. Hello, so sana as well. So many things have happened recently, and so many people are saying so many different things. I just want to clarify the official stand of ACTAS in all of these issues. First off, I would like to commend the government for seriously considering motorcycle taxis as an added transport option for Filipino commuters amid the ongoing traffic crisis. We are also hopeful that lawmakers will find merit in what we have been espousing all these months, and years actually, that motorcycle taxis are critical to addressing the countrymen's problems, or mobility problems. Having said that, I would also like to clarify that we are not picking a fight with government regulators. Right from the start, we worked hard to be compliant with everything the LTFRB and the DOTR's DWG had set in the very first motorcycle taxi test run. For 6 whole months last year, there was never any problems. The problem came up only when the DWG mandated for a 10,000 riders cap provision per motorcycle taxi operator on the pilot extension. I wanted to make clear that this cap is the main thing that we do not agree with, and our stand on this is not meant to disparage the LTFRB or DOTR in any way. It must be noted that we complied with everything that the DWG has asked us to do in the initial test run. We did retraining of all our riders, we gave our safety vests based on the recommendation of the DWG. We did a host of other things to comply with the requirements of the initial test run. We are also complying with the new guidelines today to the best of our abilities. Our safety record during the pilot was almost perfect. We've said this so many times before. For 6 whole months, our safety record was an almost perfect 99.997%. We tried our utmost best to maintain a high safety record for the benefit of our passengers. We are proud to say that our high service standards were maintained in the test run. I would also like to point out that right from the start of the initial test run, we already had 27,000 riders. It was never a secret. In fact, we are proud of this fact because it means we have been helping thousands of motorcycle owners have a decent livelihood and helping more commuters by ensuring that there are many riders on the streets who are ready to serve them. We are also proud of our 27,000 bikers because they have worked hard to serve our commuters in the past few months. Now, the new entrants have come in, and there is the 10,000 cap per provider. And one of the other players recently said that we will able to reach the 10,000 cap next month without taking any riders from us. This only means that our 17,000 displaced riders will not have anywhere to go, and it's up to us to fight for their rights and protect their livelihood, because no one else will do that for them. Moreover, by displacing 17,000 riders from Angkas, and with the two other players filling up capacity, many of these riders will have no choice but to go underground again and provide habal-habal services just to earn a living. And again, the gains we achieved in the last 6 months of the trial run will take a step back. When word got out that LTFRB will be extending the run with new players, I was interviewed in the media. And I said that I was totally fine with this because it means that people have begun to realize the importance of motorcycle taxis in helping our commuters beat the daily traffic. I would like to emphasize that even back then, I knew there will be new players as soon as motorcycle taxis become a subject of legislation and regulation. I have never aspired to establish a monopoly. In fact, I have done nothing but fight to have motorcycle taxis legalized and regulated, not just for the benefit of Angkas, but for the benefit of all service providers who will then join the industry. I would like to reinforce on public record that we have always and will continue to work with government regulators and not against them. But at the same breath, we ask for fairness in consideration of all the hard work we have done to comply with the government regulators since last year. The fact is that we have a big fleet. Moreover, I would like to put on record that in our effort to comply with the new provisions, we registered all 10,000 riders before the original deadline expired. So now we ask the good agency to give us a bit of time to adjust to the new mandated provisions. In the 3 years since we started, we made a lot of mistakes, and we had to make a lot of difficult decisions to reach where we are today and learn everything we know so far. But since that time, we were able to develop and train 27,000 bikers and have done millions of rides. Each of those rides helped us shape to what we are right now. You cannot build a competent and safe biker network overnight, and these things shouldn't be rushed. With this, allow me to make a short presentation on the TWG pilot update of Angkas, so you get to know Angkas and our learnings from the pilot a little better and dispel rumors that have been circulating. Guys, can you check for the presentation? Give me 1 second.
Freeze.
Tatawid, tutulak.
Tatay. Mani ka dyan. Mani. Okay na, basta may audio. Kuya, Yan, sino pa?
Hey guys. Game. Okay. So guys, this is just basically an update on our experience, no? So this is basically the benefit of 3 years of running a motorcycle taxi operation and also what transpired during the pilot and our learning. So this does not in any way prejudice the new guidelines or anything to that effect. Okay, so next slide. So basically, we've been operating for 3 years. Of course, our operations has been sporadic because of our constant, fight or journey for regulation. So over the course of the 3 years, we've trained close to about 100,000 biker applicants. So libre po itong training na to. And of that 120,000 roughly, we ended up about 26,478. So this is over time. Umakyat po tayo ng 36,797, but because of banning, because of issues on the compliance, etc., over time, course of the 3 years, and minsan nag-drop off, ayaw na mag-motorcycle taxi. Basically, we deactivate about 10,000. So roughly, our failure rate on average is 63%, no? Almost 70%. So we've backed that. So basically, we've really taken great pains to develop this training program and to really find a screening process that will be able to really get the best bikers. That's why our failure rate is so high. And imagine guys, we've built 27,000 fleet of bikers over 3 years. So this is something that we really want to stress out, that it's going to be very difficult to really build a competent and safety fleet over a short period of time. So we take caution in really building up our base for this particular type of operations. Next. So for the pilot runs per statistics, we had over 5 million rides over the last 6 months. So we've had total of 3 million downloads over the 3 years. Actually, mali yan. 3 years. Well, I guess this is just for the pilot. I think it's 3 years over time. And then we have a 0.003% accident rate. So one of the major KPIs of the initial pilot was safety. Now, if you look at the MC pilot guidelines in the beginning, the threshold was 5%. For all operators yan, today, in the future, ideally, no, na yung threshold ng accidents mo must be 5%. So we're happy to, so ngayon challenge kami ng TWG na kaya ba yung mag-hold up pa yung 0.003% mo over time. Because back then, during the injunction phase, we're only operating for 4 months. So in the pilot phase, we were given the chance to operate for 6 months. And we're happy to share that we've actually held it. Minsan umaakit pa ngayon sa 0.002%. But on average, we're at 0.003. 0 fatalities. So a lot of it, majority of it is actually bruises. But there are some major fractures, no? Unfortunately. Hello. Next. Degree or the kind of injuries or accidents that befall a motorcycle, we were forced to create a 24-hour emergency medical response team. Now, why is this very important? Alam nyo, pag nabangga po ang kotse, malaking possibility na wala pong mangyayari sa tao. Siguro 9 out of 10 times, unless talagang malubha yung accidents. But even the smallest, most minor type of accident in a motorcycle may result to injury. Even sometimes na walang nangyari sa'yo, baka may internal bleeding and it could lead to certain complications. So that's really the nature of the motorcycle, no? Because it's exposed. So there's inherent vulnerabilities to the motorcycle. So basically, we've created an emergency medical response team so that we can upon knowing about it, no, upon getting the call and verifying, we're able to get to the accident in 30 minutes response time. So at least within 30 minutes, we're able to get there. This is important kasi back then when we were operating, di ba, and we were heavily reliant on insurance, heavily reliant on third-party enforcers, heavily reliant on medical responders, you cannot establish and guarantee the SLAs. So we have to build our own internal team, no? So the problem rin with motorcycles, and I'm sorry to say this, no, with due respect to everybody, pag ang problema sa ospital, and sino nagmumotorsiklo dito, I'm sure you guys have an experience, pag nagmumotorsiklo ka, na-aksidente ka, punta sa ospital, medyo hindi ka pinapansin, and minsan humingi pa ng down payment, and sometimes you're turned away because there's no GL and there's no capacity to pay. So this has become an issue for us, not that we don't pay, but then pagdating ng pasyente namin dati doon, ilang oras bago sila mabigyan ng medical attention. And only then when we arrive, that they're given medical attention. So we've had to build that team so that we can provide quality care for these unfortunate instances, no? So it's really proper treatment, minimal stress, and faster recovery. So the more delays you have in the hospital, the worse it could be for you. And so, ikaw na nga yung nandihado, ikaw si stress, di ba? Hindi mo naman kaya mag-sign ng forms ng sarili mo. Next. So how do we do this? Hello? Hello? So how do we do this? Next slide, please. Yung Accident Medical Network namin has about a network of 48 EMR trained responders. This is emergency medical responders, no? These are trained responders to stabilize patients, injuries outside, no? And then provide them with medical care. Hanggang defibrillators, they're trained to do so. These are certified by the Philippine College of Emergency Medicine, American Heart Association, pre-hospital trauma life support, tactical emergency consulting care, Medic First Aid USA, and Emergency Care Communicator 911. So these are the certifications of our EMR. We also have 12 on-call doctors. And this is a combination of emergency medicine, trauma, orthopedic, and surgery. And we had 8 affiliate hospitals. So yung team namin is led by very, very highly qualified medical directors and trainers. The reason for this is we need to have these types of connections with the hospitals so that when our patients get in there is no down payment. If you need to get surgery right then and there, pag angkas biker o angkas passenger ka, diretso yun, no questions asked. Of course, you know, it's not always 100% guaranteed, but you have that level of expectation with us. So this is something that we've really built over the last 3 years, and we hope that, you know, all other motorcycle taxi operators and providers will, you know, strive to develop as well. And of course, we are here and we are open to help the entire industry, you know, get to this point. So sana we can be compliant with this very high level of standard of medical care. Next. Okay, so basically what we've been negotiating over the last, I think, 6 months, no, even before the pilot happened, especially with the Committee on Public Services in Senate, was really move motorcycle taxis to be recognized by the consortium insurance. So by law kasi, as a public utility vehicle, kailangan mo kumuha ng insurance dun sa consortium. So there are 2 consortium, which is PAMI and SSCI. So this is a consortium or a combination of all the private insurers, large and mid-size, put together to provide insurance coverage to the public utility vehicles or the passengers of the public utility vehicles. Now, why is this important? Iba po kasi yung level of SLA ng consortium insurance dun sa private insurance. Kasi pag private insurance ka, medyo may kaya ka eh. Or you're a private insurance holder, no? So, you can advance, and then you can wait. So roughly on average, it takes about 5 months, no, for you. Alam niyo naman to, sinong na-aksidente sa inyo before, di ba? May mga claims yan eh. So it takes some time to be able to get the claims, no? And not all claims are sorry. Right. Not all claims are also recognized, no? The reason for this is, syempre, medyo mass market po yung market natin eh. Yung biker natin, kompleto yan. Meron yan driver's license na professional, meron yan mga papers, pero yung pasahero is not always the case. Diba? So, medyo mahirap ma-complete yung requirements 100%. Right? So this is the problem with private insurance. So really, our hope and wish is for the Philippine Insurance Commission to really recognize, even now, na wala pang law, no, while even at the pilot stage, i-recognize na yung motorcycle taxi na pwedeng bigyan ng coverage ng consortium insurance so that we can all have, you know, a much bigger coverage platform and infrastructure. So in lieu of this, okay, because nga, for serious accidents in motorcycle, you need immediate medical attention, di ba? And if you're gonna rely on the private insurance companies, it will take some time. So next slide. So basically, AMCAS has an accident fund. So we have a dedicated fund to advance payments for accidents. You know, it took a while for me to convince our management to actually publicize this, no? But I think it's very, very important. This may be to the detriment of my company because now they know that we advance all payments, no questions asked. However, I think, you know, because of public safety, kailangan po talagang malaman ng lahat ng operators that this is the level of standard that you have to subject yourself in. Because na, the accidents in a motorcycle may be potentially grave. Maybe. Whether it's a small accident or a big accident, there's a high likelihood, high chance. No? So in rare cases, we even go beyond the insurance coverage in selected cases, no? Depending on case-to-case basis. And we also provide discretionary assistance. So sometimes this goes beyond just the medical reimbursement and just whatever the dismemberment and death benefits are provided for. No? The idea here is, maraming nagsasabi, pag sumakay ka ng motor, and this is no deference to my motorcycle friends, we all know this, pag sumakay ka ng motor, yung isang paa mo, nakabawal na sa hukay. And stress na nga yung ating mamamayan sa trabaho nila, sa buhay nila. Nakikipagsapan na rin sila, buwis-buhay po, na sumakay ng motorsiklo. Pag may nangyari po dyan, kahit isa, dapat po, hindi na ma-extend yung stress nila doon. Kasi they're already incapacitated if something happens to them for their daily work. And we as the provider of this, operator of this, must ensure that we minimize and mitigate the stress levels that they have to go through. Kawawa po yung pasahero. So dapat bigyan po natin ng pansin at seryosohin po natin yung operasyon at lalong-lalo na po so paano natin pag-handle yung mga aksidente. Next. So training is one thing, and I think we have really built a very good training program specific po for period, no? Yung pasahero. Marami po kasing eskwelahan dito sa Pilipinas, actually konti lang, hindi marami, na nagtuturo paano magmotor. Pero kailangan po yung turuan paano magsakay ng pasahero. But it doesn't stop on training. And we've had this, we experienced this with great pains over the last few years. Yung mindset po talaga mahirap po yan palitan. Diba? Yung kinalakihan po natin, nagawain po natin na bad habits, hindi po yan na nasusolba at nakukuha sa isang training, 10 training. Diba? Nakukuha po yan sa mindset change, no? Culture change. In fact, that's, I think, what we are very proud of with AMCAS. Now, we've imparted that culture change to how the motorcycle biker accords himself when he wears the uniform. So just to give you some stats on the 6-month pilot, no? On a daily basis, we assist about 360 bikers. Daily po yan, pupunta sa opisina for whatever psychological, practical, customer service, and commercial requirements they would need, no? over the 6-month pilot, we've had 50 field retraining activities, no, that would retrain the bikers. And just during the pilot program alone, over 6 months, we've retrained and counseled over 20,000 bikers. That's 2/3 of our fleet. No? So tuloy-tuloy po yan eh. Hindi po yun nagsastop sa training. So you really need to build an infrastructure of community managers, counselors, to make sure that hindi nila makalimutan yung training nila, and to make sure na yung pakikisama nila and yung culture change na, no, on how they comport themselves in the motorcycle, na dati medyo talaga admittedly wala silang pakialam, hindi dahil wala silang pakialam, dahil they don't know any better. But as we all know, we all have our bad habits. Sigarilyo lang po, di ba, mahirap po na talaga tanggalin kung nakasanayan na. So tuloy-tuloy lang po yan. Next. So ang trainers po natin, I'm happy to announce, no, we've leveled up our training setup, no. Our trainers are trained by a US firm that trains the US Marines. They also train, this is for motorcycle taxi, hindi military training. Only for motorcycle safety mindset and safety riding. Now, I'll give you guys a stat, no. Marines na po ito in the United States, no. In 2006, more US Marines were killed on a motorcycle than in battle. Okay? I spoke to some generals recently, and this is the same issue with the Philippine Army. Right? The reason for this is, okay, yung Marines, US Marines, train po yan over and over and over para manggera. So lumakas po yung loob nila, tumapak po sila. Pero yung lakas ng loob nila at tapang nila sa gera is well trained. So ngayon, ilipat mo yung tapang at lakas ng loob nyo sa motorsiklo na wala pong training, that leads to a disaster. Which is why we got this US firm. Incidentally, itong US firm na po to also handles the licensing training for California, which is one of the most progressive motorcycle regulatory states or areas, locations in the world, no? And also Pennsylvania, they're also one of the largest. So yung Department of Motor Vehicles, sila po yung nag-handle ng safety training po ng lahat ng kumukuha ng lisensya ng motorsiklo. Of course, lahat po ng trainers natin is trained by the Philippine National Police Highway Patrol Group. Ito po yung tinatawag nilang MRST, Motorcycle Riding Safety Training. Next. Okay. So, basically, if you look at this, no, I want to explain, okay, hindi pala ako makatayo. I want to explain once and for all two things, no? The cap and the dynamic pricing. Ito po yung tinatawag natin na, so the cap, the fare matrix, and the dynamic pricing. Ito po yung tatlong gusto kong i-impart sa inyo, just based on our experience po as running a motorcycle operator, and also from the experiences that we've read, no, from abroad, no, or like Uber, Lyft, Gojek, Grab, and whatnot, no. So, yung ride-sharing economy po kasi, hindi po yan parang taxi or parang jeepney. Na pag gumawa po kayo ng prangkisa ng taxi, yung use po nung vehicle, 24 oras. So, pinapalitan po natin yun ng driver. So, tuloy-tuloy lang po yun sa daan. Ang ride-sharing economy po, yung basihan po ng ride-sharing economy is the combination of part-timers and full-timers. So, marami po sa ride-sharing economy, anywhere from 70 to 90% are part-timers. Meaning, magpapakit sila, may trabaho silang iba, minsan magkatrabaho sila, minsan hindi. Right? So, it's up to them. Meron din po tayong full-timers na talagang umaasa po sa motorcycle taxi or dun sa ride-sharing economy para po magpasada at yun po talaga yung main business nila. So that being said, if you have a cap of X number, or let's say 30,000, the bikers that are actually out on the streets when you need them is much, much less. Right? Hindi po siya buong 30,000 na sa daan. In fact, kaya po, nakikita niyo po yung first bump, yan yung morning peak, no? From 6 to 10. Yung second bump natin po, that is the evening peak from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. So ang ginagawa po ng maraming operators is we give incentives, di ba? We give to the drivers para pagdating ng peak, lahat kayo pumunta doon. Kasi marami po dyan syempre pag traffic, di ba? Lalo na po pag kotse, pag motor, ganun din po. Pag traffic, ay ayoko na lumabas, di ba? Marami rin sa kanila galing office, pupunta doon at magpamasada. And marami rin talagang full part-timers na talagang nag-odd jobs at lumaraket. So all of that, you need to make sure that you incentivize them that during the time that you need them the most, which is the most traffic areas, which is a few hours in the morning, about 3 to 4, and a few hours at night, they need to appear at those times because that's where they're needed. So you have to provide those incentives. So I wanted to debunk the myth, no? So if you have this much cap, the motorcycles out of the streets is very, very minimal. It's very little, depending on how you incentivize them to come out. Next. So if you're looking at the current demand and supply graph right now, diba? Let's say this is the existing capacity that we're supplying because based on our estimates, parang lumalabas po ng kasama yung Facebook, kasama yung habal-habal, para mga 200,000 a day po yung motorcycle rides. Right? So let's say you're providing this much demand, no? At a certain cap. Kasi nga, sinasabi ko po, hindi lahat ng motorcycle lumalabas 100%. So konti lang po yung lumalabas. Yung full-timers nyo, which is the core, right? And then, ino-augment po yan ng part-timers. Next, if you lower the supply, if you lower the cap, then the supply significantly goes lower. Which is the reason I just want to, again, no, we want to work with the LTFRB and ito ay study at pag-aaral. So we want to share our learnings with everybody na it is exacerbated na if you have a cap on every single provider, depending on the popularity of the provider and the demand generated and the awareness generated of the different provider, hindi po siya pare-pareho. So meron po tayong providers that with super high demand, meron tayo and low supply, meron tayong providers with high supply and less demand, and so on and so forth. So this needs to be taken into consideration because this is the real world experience that we had over the 6 months. And also over the last 3 years, no, that we had to learn painfully. Next. So basically, the fare matrix, di ba? Yung fare matrix po na nakikita nyo dyan sa pag-aaral natin, fare matrix po yan na galing kay Angkas. So paano po natin nakuha yung fare matrix na yan? The fare matrix is meant to be cheaper than 4 wheels significantly, but is not meant to replace public transportation. Ang sinasabi ko sa public transportation, mass transit, bus, pati MRT. Ang idea po natin sa pricing, okay, tatlo po yan. 1, mass transit consideration. 2, habal-habal existing consideration. And 3, alternative to 4 wheels, taxi or TNC. So it is substantially more cheaper or more affordable than 4 wheels, but it should not be substantially, or it should not be as affordable as public transportation. Because motorcycle taxis are meant to be an alternative form of transportation, meaning ang taas po naming customer is 3 times a week, right? So yan po yung talagang gamit niya. Emergency, sobrang traffic, mahaba pila o kung ano man, di ba? So kailangan ko, I have to get there and negotiate my way through it. And hopefully, eventually, pag naging perfecto po yung ating public transportation or mass transit system, maging feeder system na lang po si motorsiklo. And feeder system means, hindi na siya point-to-point. Point to mass transit hub to the endpoint, and then from that point to where your final destination is. So, feeder system po tayo. So, the pricing was benchmarked on 2 things, no? In the beginning of the study, we surveyed 200 habal-habal terminals. So we found out that yung habal-habal terminals na yun yung habal-habal, mas mahal kami sa habal-habal by maybe 20%. But then syempre yung habal-habal, walang insurance, wala pong training and whatnot. So the added benefit of the safety people were willing to pay for the additional payment. And in fact, yun nga, it's not meant to be that kind of dream because dapat alternative mode of transport lang po siya at hindi po siya ginagamit na talagang pang-araw-araw. Although I know, especially last December, marami po sa atin talagang nagamit na po siya pang-araw-araw dahil po sa kalubahan ng traffic. We also did a FGD and a customer survey for this one. No? I think to those who want, we can share those surveys with you. So meron tayong willingness to pay in terms of the surveys that was conducted, which ended up with that type of price matrix. Now, why umaakyat ng 15 kilometers, 15 pesos per kilometer above 7 kilometers? Because it's meant to be for short distances. Okay? Napaka-uncomfortable po ng motor pag long distance na pasahero. Ikaw yung nagmomotor, masarap po yun. Long distance. Pero pag pasahero po, we discourage that. So 5 kilometers, 7 kilometer distances is encouraged. Yung mahahaba po, significantly nagmamahal po yung fare natin. That is by design. So yun po yung punot dulo ng ating fare matrix. Next. So again, habal-habal benchmark and consumer profile. This is meant to be for urgent and infrequent trips, 2 to 3 times a week usage. Okay, and for habal-habal benchmark, we are around, yes, they are around 10 to 20% cheaper than Angkas, but people are willing to pay for the safety factor that is involved in the ride for motorcycle taxi, the professional motorcycle taxi. Next. Okay, so next. Okay, let's talk about dynamic pricing, no? Based ng maraming usapan po ng dynamic pricing sa 4-wheel, ngayon sa 2-wheel, and I wish to sana explain the basis of this dynamic pricing, no? First of all, yung basihan po ng dynamic pricing ng 4-wheel, malayong-malayo sa basihan ng 2-wheel. Bakit po? Kasi mas mababa yung base fare. Diba? For example po, yung 4-wheel is may 2x surge. Diba? So let's say yung base mo is 300. Okay? Pag mataas yung demand at mababa yung supply, may algorithm po yung app na sinasabi na walang bikers sa daan, mababa yung supply. Walang non-bikers sa daan, mataas yung demand. So, bibigyan natin ng automatic incentive yung mga bikers. Tataas po yung presyo with a dynamic price multiplier para to encourage the bikers to go out on the streets. Diba? So, nangyayari po ito sa peak hours. For example, tinatamad yung biker. Diyos ko, Friday night, imagine, payday Friday. Lahat na tayo gusto natin bumimik. Diba? Yung biker, ganun din. Ayaw niya magtrabaho, masyadong traffic, payday Friday. So ngayon, pumapasok po yung dynamic pricing na yun to encourage bikers to come out. So ultimately, this goes to the benefit of the customer because the customer has a higher chances of booking in times when they really need to book for transportation. Now, the problem is, this is exacerbated with the 4-wheel issues that has nothing to do with 2 wheels. Now, if you look at it from a 2-wheel perspective, ang base po niyang maliit. So, ang dynamic pricing po na recommended for 2-wheel is anywhere between 1.3 to 1.5 times. Sa 100 pesos po at 1.3, that's an additional 30 pesos. Diba? Sa 2 times, sa 300, that's a doble yan, additional 300. So, malayo po yan. We've found out that the market, at least that market, no, which is really meant for an alternative mode of transportation. Again, sinasabi ko po yung alternatibo po, hindi po dapat pang araw-araw. Diba? They are willing to pay the driver an additional 30 pesos or even 50 pesos just so that they can ensure that booking. Because the actual quantum, which is the actual figure itself, isn't that big compared to other forms of transportation. So, I would just like to explain this, and later on, we can have a round of questioning on the dynamic pricing. Yan po ang purpose niya. Diba? So, next slide. This is calibrated with feedback. In fact, umabot po kami sa 2.0x dati. Maraming nagreklamo. Right? So, hindi po yan haka-haka lang. Over the last 3 years, pinaglaruan po natin yan in terms of ano yung magiging sweet spot po. Pag December, maabot yun ng 1.5, syempre. Pero pag mga regular months naman, you're really looking at about 1.3. Diba? So if your base fare is low enough, it shouldn't really matter that much. Especially since you're not using this for daily use. And the point is really to push them to mass transit. Diba? Yun yung point natin eh. Ang point natin is to augment the existing mass transportation. We're not supposed to replace it. We are supposed to augment the build initiatives of the Duterte administration. Right? Ano tayo eh? Interim. Right? Ngayon lang, nagagamit siya point to point because maraming construction, maraming development. But eventually, ang talagang basihan niyan or talagang magiging establishing niyan is really alternative mode of transportation. So, this was done with a lot of experimentation, a lot of studies, a lot of customer feedback, a lot of bashers of the internet, and a lot of consultation also with the customers. Combination po yun ng promo code, na mayroong dynamic pricing, etc. etc. So, inaral po namin talaga yan ng 3 taon. Next. So, if you look at this, no, yung supply cap mo, may baba na, supply demand mo. Pag tinanggal niyo po yung dynamic pricing, ano po mangyayari? Mas mumura yung fares. Ano po nangyayari pag nagpupromo code tayo at nagmumura yung fares? Next slide. Tataas po yung demand. So, pag tumaas yung demand, tinanggal mo yung surge, tapos naglagay ka ng cap, bumaba yung supply mo because remember the combination between part-timers and full-timers, medyo mahihirapan po yung publiko mag-book, diba? So sana po we can, again, it's a study, so pwede natin paglaruan po ito through the course of the study, and I believe naman po the LTFRB, the technical working group, is amenable, to suggestions, and they are. I believe that, and yung study na po, paglalaro po natin yan sana po over the next 3 months, kung ano po yung magiging optimal para po dun sa pasahero. Next slide. So, the way we see it po, based on our experience, diba? If you put a cap, if you don't want dynamic pricing, then you relax on the cap, so that you have more bikers on the road. If you want to lower the cap, then you need to be more lenient on the dynamic pricing so that you incentivize the bikers to go out on the road at the right time when they are needed. But if I'm afraid if you put the cap and you take out the dynamic pricing, medyo dun po talagang masusuppress po natin yung ating supply that the public may find out that it may be a bit more difficult to book, no, when they need to. Next. And basically that ends the presentation po. So hopefully po, sana may natutunan kayo dun sa aming presentation. We hope that yun nga po, yung safety standards that we set up, sana po talagang yun yung maging standard para sa lahat. Kunin po talagang takilipin po natin na ma-push at ma-establish po ito sa batas po natin. I will be making the same presentation po sa Kongreso, sa Senado, as I made to the technical working group. And we hope to, again, work together with the government as what we have been doing for the last 6 months. We've been in dialogue with the government for almost 3 years or maybe more than 2 years now. And our ultimate goal is really to provide alternative and effective, safe and efficient mode of transportation to the riding public. Pasensya na po sa nangyaring back and forth. I'm sorry if this has gone up to a different level of inconvenience to LTFRB, to DOTR, and to the riding public. Please don't mistake what has happened as defiance. We are passionate to serve the public, and with this passion and with our experience, we hope that we really get to establish a lot of these safety protocols and learnings and key takeaways. And that we are here ultimately for the writing public. And ang talagang pakay po natin dito is matapos po yung study na magkaroon tayong magandang mga datos po dun sa study, whether is the last 6 months plus the 3 months po na binibigay po na extension, at magkaroon tayo ng maraming angulo, perspektibo, datos, para mapresenta po natin ng maayos sa Kongreso at Senado at magkaroon po tayo ng napakagandang batas na talagang na-test natin sa daan, na-test po natin sa publiko at yung talagang makikinabang ultimately is the writing public while we are generating thousands of jobs also to our citizens. So yun lang po, again, LTFRB, DOTR, we are here to make the pilot successful with you and the other players. We welcome the other players in the industry and we hope we can work together hand in hand in collaboration for the Filipino people. Thank you very much and good day.
So now we open the floor po for question. Okay, Salina.
Just to be clear, Sir George, so,
sir, no, nakasample na lang, sir. Sir, on an average,
daily average demand, gaano po marami from your consumers, right? Yung mga sumasakay,
Roughly yan, mga 30 ganun.
30,000
Roughly. Yeah, roughly.
peak.
Well, iba-iba eh. Kasi you can't use December. Eh. December is ridiculous. So pagdating mo ng, okay, ganito yan eh. When you get to the Burr months, it changes eh. So when you get to January, it also changes. So it's very seasonal. But yung average yung talo 30, but then hindi lang yung 30. Minsan payday Friday, nagsa-surge siya. Diba? So average mo ng month, 28 to 30,000.
But recorded highest.
Maybe closer to 40, I'm not sure. I'll get back to you with that. But then ang average mo is about ganun. But then, ang demand that we believe, no, based on the experience that we've had and the research that we've seen on the road, and count mo na lang, di ba? When you go on the road, ilan yung angkas versus ilan yung habal-habal. Medyo umabot tayo ng mga ang belief po natin namin the market in Metro Manila alone is already 200,000 per day.
Yeah, but nasa 30 lang yung demand on average. Pero yung supply ninyo on an average, gano'ng marami?
So you talk about maybe 5,000, 3 to 5,000 on the road, thereabouts.
So hirap din talaga kayo.
Yeah, kasi nga part-time. Yun talaga, I need to stress out, no? The cap is not 100%. I mean, not the pool of bikers that you have is not 100%. You know, pasaya ka na sa 10% na nasa road. Masaya ka na doon. Right? So, and again, iba-iba po yan. Iba ang Sunday, iba yung Monday, iba yung Friday, iba yung morning and afternoon peak. So, it's a little bit more complicated. Yes, go ahead.
Sa dynamic pricing, may surge pricing pa rin ang pinatutupad ng angkas. Ngayon.
Sir, ma'am, we will comply with the regulators on taking out the surge price.
Pero meron tayo the past few months.
So we were studying it, no? And syempre, iba po kasi dapat humingi po kami ng pasensya sa LTFRB kasi sana po bigyan po ng transition si Angkas. We're not asking for special favors, pero nauna naman po talaga si Angkas running for 6 months. Eh. So we really hope that there's a transition period on how we transition our fleet to the new guidelines. So we will be, complying on the surge pricing as stated by the DOTR.
When will you start charging?
Today ba?
Today.
Operations. Today ba?
Hi, Jackie Manabas of ABS-CBN News. Okay lang. Ako na lang. Regarding here, take dun sa sinabing possible blacklisting of you of Angkas once this study, once law is already out, given that you have violated now some part of the guidelines, including you operating outside Metro Manila.
So, any question mo?
So your take on that, did you really violate the guidelines if you really operate sa CPO?
So first, sa blacklisting, no, I think, again, there's been many back and forths, many words have been said through the media and through our proclamations between one side to the next. I just like to reiterate, hindi po ito away ng angkas at ng gobyerno, hindi po ito away ng LTFRB ang angkas. Pareho po tayo pakay. Minsan po, nagkakaroon po tayo ng differences of opinion and perspectives, but at the end of the day, the ultimate goal is really to provide an efficient and affordable alternative mode of transportation to the Filipino people. So in terms of the blacklisting, we hope to work with the LTFRB to ensure that we are, not put in that position, and that we get to continue in providing a service to the study and more data to the study. Because I think that the experience that we have over the last 3 years is valuable. In terms po of the operations outside, we've stopped operations both in Gensan and CDO. And on the question on the local ordinance conflicting with national laws, I don't think I'm in a position to have an opinion on that. No, that is a matter that's left to be resolved by the courts if such thing happens. All of these conflicting rules. But then again, we have complied. There are no operations in CDO and Gensan. But we hope we can still run our padala service since wala namang po talaga restrictions on that. No? But then, in the meantime, focus po tayo sa Metro Manila and Metro Cebu.
Okay, si Gerard and then si Aris. Okay.
Hi, sir.
And I'd like to add lang, no? So we are working with the drivers po in those areas to make sure that we help them out in this time of need po. So again, pasensya sa lahat. Marami pong factors to, and we hope that at the end of the day we get to make sure that everybody is okay. Yes, your question.
Hi sir, good morning. Gerard de la Peña from TV5. How did you feel about hearing yung sinabi ni Mr. Swansea that you are bullying the government and that you are possibly going to be blacklisted? How did you feel about hearing that?
Meron ako ditong bullying. Like again, I said, no, we've been operating for about 3 years. We've been really fighting for the rights of the motorcycle taxi bikers, the motorcycle industry in general, and also the alternative options of the commuting public. Hindi lang po ako mag-isa dyan, marami pong organisasyon na tayo magkasama, civil society groups, commuter groups. Let us, again, ako po humingi ng pasensya doon sa nasabi pong defiance po or bullying, wherein we are just being very passionate in what we are trying to do to help the Filipino people and our bikers. But it has always been our intention to comply. And in fact, we laud the Department of Transportation and Rail and Secretary Togade for having the foresight, no, amongst so many administration. In fact, bago po namin napasa yung sa lower house yung ANCAS bill last year, it's been 3 congresses that they've been trying to push that. And we know that the RA 4136 is an antiquated Kalesa law. And this administration had the foresight to really listen to the public and create a technical working group. Ayaw po natin sayangin yun. Wala pong nagiging positibo sa away. And we may have our differences, but we should resolve those differences for the benefit of the public. We do not mean to bully anyone. We do not think we bully anyone. I don't think a company like ANCAS can bully any, the government in any way whatsoever. But we have always been passionate, to push for the agenda of the commuting public and our motorcycle bikers to give them the dignity that they deserve all these years. And we will continue to do so. But again, that does not take away the fact that we have been working with government and we will continue to work with government to resolve these issues.
words really takes for a real man to say sorry, no? We heard you several times apologizing for, the really what happened between Angkas and LTFRB. So, ano kayang suggestion mo for the animosity between Angkas and the government authorities to subside or more?
Sa akin po, I will do whatever it takes para po sa publiko. Kasi lahat po itong ginagawa natin is bigger than Angkas. Hindi po to issue ni Angkas at ng LTFRB. This is bigger than Angkas and LTFRB. There are thousands of lives at stake. Thousands of commuters that rely on this on a daily basis. And let's not let that down because of misunderstandings. Let's move forward and move past these issues because ultimately, we all want the same thing. I believe firmly in my heart that the LTFRB, the DOTR, wants only the best for the riding public. Kami din po, we want the best for the riding public. And, we are confident that with the Duterte administration, that the riding public will get a fair shake in terms of passing these regulations. Excited po kami. Excited kami to pass the regulations. Excited po kami with this 3-month report. And I know, itong taon na po ito, 2020, this is gonna be the year of the motorcycle. Pwede na ba ako mag-joke? Hindi ba rin?
George, Port Pagkakabuli. Tatanong ko lang, ano yung support na ibibigay nyo dun sa mga na-apprehend? Tsaka, di ba nagkaroon ng statement ang DWG na yung hindi kasama dun sa 10,000 na cap, huhulihin. So, anong support ang pwede nyo ibigay dun sa mga riders?
Well, I think we can find a way to work that out. No? In fact, LTFRB has also announced that whatever is left in the cap can be redistributed back to those with the operational capacity. No? So those are the things that we can work out. We're receptive to anything that we can do to help that. And in fact, sabi nga po ni General Berjola, hanggang March 23, we're talking about 2 months. Sana po, this is just one of those challenges in the journey or the development of the study to the ultimate legitimization of motorcycle taxi operations. Again, my bikers have been with us for 3 years. This is not new. And it's not new. So, alam po nila yung pinasukan nila. In fact, alam naman po nila yung gagawin nila pag wala silang magagawa, babalik sila sa habal-habal, unfortunately. But at least, meron na po silang mindset of safety. And sana po na-improve na po natin yung kanilang pamamalakad po ng kanilang operasyon. But then, alam ko naman po na confident ako na kaya po natin solusyonan yan together with the government. I don't have anything specific for you right now, but we are willing to work with the government to find a way together on how we can figure it out.
Jen?
It's from ABS-CBN. Sir, si Asek Swansea, ang dami niya namang sinasabi earlier this morning, and they were checking your records daw with the SEC, and that Angkas is 99% foreign-owned by a Singaporean. So, that you're violating the foreign cap. What are your thoughts about it, sir? And sabi nyo nga, you want to move forward. What are the immediate steps for Angkas to move forward?
So I own 60% of the company. So, syempre before we were back then, 3 years ago, alam ko lang pang regulation on this, no? Everything was an app. Diba? Sa app naman walang ganong klaseng restriction. This was taken up already during the Senate hearings and the congressional hearings, and we've already made the necessary steps to correct this, no? So, I am here before you saying that I own 60%, that will be reflected eventually. May lag kasi yan from the time that that's corrected and reflected, no? Again, I had a joke on this during the Senate hearing, but I will not say that joke in deference to my team because this is a serious matter. But then, in compliance with the nationality requirement for the eventual passage of the law. Kasi right now, wala naman po sa guidelines yun eh. Both the original guidelines and the new guidelines that was not put as part of the requirements. But then we know definitely pag naging batas po yan, kailangan po talaga yun. So that has been rectified already. Meeting po with the LTFRB.
Thank you, Bert. And then next ka na.
Gilbert siya on the page that Gilbert Daily Mail.
Okay lang, what's up, Bill?
Sir, question lang po regarding the yung status ng angkas bikers natin sa Cagayan de Oro. And also, regarding yung surcharge na ngayon natatanggalin na siya, how will it affect yung availability ng bikers, especially during peak season, peak hours?
So, dun nga sa presentation ko, Gilbert, no? So talagang it might affect the certain SLAs that our passengers have been enjoying, lalo na po kayo. We have to expect that. For CPO, we're doing everything. We've always taken care of our bikers, and we continue to do so. Again, at a later time, sana we'll be allowed to open for our padala service in other places because padala naman is has no issues.
For now, wala mo ng angkas bikers?
Wala lahat, yes.
Ma'am, sige po. Tapos i-acknowledge po yung mga nasa likod. Nakapunta po ako dyan later on.
Hi, Sir George. Good morning. Joanna
Yes.
from UNTV, sir. Sir, I just wanted to be specific. Hello po. Sir, I just wanted to go specific. Ano yung nangyari doon sa Cagayan de Oro City? Paano nagkaroon ng operations ng angkas? Yung sinasabi ko ng EOPRTWG na mga nahuli nila. And ano ang assurance na ibibigay po ninyo na hindi yun nangyayari sa iba pang mga lugar?
Hindi siya nangyayari sa iba pang lugar, that's assured. But I'd like to kind of turn the question around, no? And maybe this is open for study and proposals that we can make, no? Since this is a study naman, is two areas, because yung study po natin, yung pag-review po natin yung batas, lahat yan, nationwide yan, hindi naman po yung Metro Manila or Metro Cebu. In fact, meron po talagang need in the second and third tier municipalities for this type of service because there are areas and roads that cars cannot go to, and you have skylabs and habal-habals that are flying the streets as we speak. So, baka po, that may be an option for us to open the study to areas like this, especially areas that have already clamored for this type of service. So, for me, I'm very hopeful na manganganak pa to eh. So, again, study yan eh. So, baka po hindi kami or ibang operator or ibang something, we can really create a comprehensive study that will not only look at the metro cities that have medyo traffic but also have many options, but also areas where there's no option other than two-wheel vehicles. So, ganun, comparative big question, and sana po we can consider those areas, especially locations or municipalities, LGUs that have already expressed interest in this. In fact, I think sa Cebu, nagkaroon na ng executive order si Mayor Nabella for motorcycle taxis. No? So, talaga po, Ma'am Joy, we are in the beginning, Ma'am Johan, we are in the beginning of regulations, we're in the beginning of a new industry. So, mahirap, marami tayong pwedeng gawin. So, hopefully we can address all of those areas that really require all of these different options.
Sorry, quickly lang. Nag-submit na kayo ng mga pangalan ng 10,000 sinabi nila yesterday. Paano nyo na-reach yun? Sino-sino yung mga, ano yung criteria na ito yung mga ipapasok natin sa program?
It's very difficult, no? But I think, I don't know. Well, wala pa naman di-displace. Kasi the transition was moved to January 17, yeah, to be able to finalize the caps. So I think right now, further coordination with LTFAB is required to see how we can work out, the remaining numbers. But marami pong konsiderasyon yan. Kasi hindi na po yan na most active. Because you need to also realize that you have part-timers that augment your fleet. So it's a combination of, I guess, tenure. It's a combination of activity. There are some that have really low activity. In fact, you'll see bikers talagang nakakaiyak po. You'll see bikers on Facebook giving up their slots. Na part-time lang ako, so bibili ko na yung slot ko sa iba. So nagtutulungan po talaga sila. So hopefully ano lang po to, short term. And we get to really, do what's right for, in general. No? Hindi lang po sa angkas, but, a cap for everybody. A higher cap for everyone. Kasi yung market po talaga malaki.
But nakausap mo na ba itong mga riders na hindi kasali dun sa 10,000? Ano yung pagkakapaliwanag nyo sa kanila na, I'm sorry, hindi kayo kasama sa initial 10,000?
Well, not physically, no? But we have, like I said, we have a support system for bikers. Talagang binigyan mo ako ng tissue. Pinapa-joke mo ako eh. So, hindi po siya madali, ma'am eh. So, we have a support system for bikers. You can't get them all in one shot, but we have started communicating already to them. Some of them probably may hear this for the first time. We have quite a large fleet. So, over the next few days, I don't know what's gonna happen, right? Because honestly, we're here to work with the government, and the idea is to really provide solutions for all of these existing challenges that we have right now.
And can we take questions here?
Yeah, good morning, George. Good morning.
Good morning, Edwin.
Good morning, yeah. It seems na ang lahat ng mga kaguluhan na to ay nagsimula nung bigla na lang may isang sulat na lumabas na LTFRB na in charge sa TWG. Meron na bang nakuhang sulat ang angkas galing sa DOTR na nag-i-state na parang nilipat na ang chairmanship or whatever sa LTFRB? Kasi dyan nagmula ang lahat ng gulo na to eh. Nabigla na lang sila pumasok sa eksena, nawala lahat yung mga cost-oriented group, di ba? Nawala yung mga dating mga members original ng TWG. Dito nag-umpisa. Meron naman nilabas ang DOTR na memo or whatever, or a written document na nag-i-state na si Asek Guardiola na in charge dito sa pilot project, Dati kasi si Yusuf Mark, di ba? Gano'n.
So, dun sa bagong guidelines, nandun po yung creation ng TWG, that was December 19 pilot extension guidelines that was signed by General Guardiola and Asik Calvante from the LTFRB. But I have not seen yet the DOTR one.
So can we assume na pwede rin fake itong TWG na to signed by these two assistants? Hindi. Kasi TWG sa DOTR, George. I just like to emphasize to my...
And wait, this is the first time I'm ever gonna say this in any of my interviews. So, no comments, sir.
Thank you, George.
Thank you, Sir Edwin. I love you.
Meron pa po dito.
Hi, George. Lawrence from Business Bureau.
Hi, Lawrence.
I have a series of questions.
Uy, series talaga.
First is, kanina you discussed dynamic pricing. Are you going to ask the TWG to reimpose it, or at least, as you said, play with the dynamic pricing on and off? Maybe, I don't know.
I think my preference from based on our experience, is to have it there and play around with the multiples. I will make a formal request when we start conducting the actual study already, when the dust settles po, no? Or maybe as early as now in this press conference. But yeah, we can play around with it. Again, studying kinokonduct natin, so sana open po tayo sa lahat, no? In reference to that. Yeah, so that's the answer to your question.
The next question is, the TWG wants to stop the operations of all motorcycle tasks after the study concludes. Now, how do you view this, and what measures do you have in order to ensure that the 27,000 drivers that you have right now will not lose their jobs? And what will happen, Pampas, if this scenario happens?
Again, it's very hard to comment on hypotheticals, or some, not hypotheticals, excuse me, please correct that. It's very hard to comment on something that hasn't happened yet. No? But I hope that with this study, we can come up with certain, I guess, instances, no, that will ensure a smooth transition from study to law.
So you're going to formally ask the TWG to extend it, or?
I don't know. Right now, I just want to kick off the study now and really get to the meat of the discussions on how we can move this forward.
Because it's just 3 months na lang.
Yes na, yes.
Diba? So, of course, you have to make preparations. Kasi that's not,
But remember, bro, that there's also a study that was conducted for the last 6 months, no? That huwag naman natin baliwalain yun kasi may basis din yun for I guess initiating discussions with Congress and Senate on what transpired. So maybe it could be a combination of both. Maybe things can be done in parallel. I don't know, but ACAS has always exhausted naman all efforts, no, to ensure that the path to regulation is met, in the most efficient time without compromising the safety of the commuting public.
Sir, good morning. LA from the Lifestyle Manila. Number one, TRO was issued last Monday, 72 hours. In your favor, it will end tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. What happens if LTFRB insists on the 10,000? Will you still be applying for an extended TRO?
I think that's the matter left for the courts. I don't think I can comment on something that's ongoing. Yeah, so I think we should just let the courts decide on how that will move forward.
Also, Senator Grace Poe issued a letter that you will have a hearing next week. What are your expectations, and what do you think the outcome would be the hearing? Would there be a finalization, or would there be something like an intervention already?
So basically for us, we are a resource person, so we will present ang past updates as we have experienced in the pilot. That's what I presented to you guys. Hopefully that the committee will take it positively, and I think it's the first step in this new year, no, to start the ball rolling on getting the law passed.
Last week during the president of LCSB, Attorney Ariel Ington commented something about the TNVS having a cap of the number of motors running. Would you concur, or would you comment about the 30,000? Instead of capping it into per player, make it like cumulative, because it's going to be the choice of the rider or the biker instead of putting it in one company or separating it by 10,000 each.
I think the position of ACAS is clear naman. So ideal sa amin yun, that the bikers get to choose which operator. In fact, if they want to choose multiple operators, then you will see that in other countries, no? The tatlo, dalawa, apat yung app nila. So I think that's what we prefer. Let's see on what transpires in the study, on whether or not we get to look at these different scenarios.
last question, were you able to look into the other riders na nag-join sa ibang operator kung ito ba yung mga bumagsak sa angkas or what?
Marami na po kami na train over 120,000 bikers. And you know, again, I can't really say anything in reference to that. I don't know that for a fact, but we've trained a lot of bikers over the last 3 years. Our failure rate is 63%, is quite high. You know, so I'm sure there's a lot of bikers that have tried to apply again, and hopefully their skill level from the time that we failed them to now has improved significantly.
Hello, Aaron from Raptor.
Sir, can I ask, since you stopped operations in Benson and CDO already, how many bikers from those areas have been displaced?
I honestly don't have the number to you, but text it to me. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, those are very small markets, and the idea was really to, you know, do the padala service, and we want to do this with other cities as well. So, you know, again, we need to take a look at the study and see how we can really address second and third tier municipalities that it not only uses motorcycles as an option, but as a necessity, in areas where four-wheel vehicles cannot reach.
How long do they operate for?
I don't know, a few months. I don't know.
Balikan ka na. Just get that. Okay.
Sir, Rocky of Tech Control. Sabi ni FTFRB, worried lang daw kayo dun sa mawawalang feedback, kaya against kayo dun sa cap.
No, worried kami sa commuting public. In fact, I told you the demand. No? Makikita mo naman sa daan pag may nakita kang dalawang angkas biker versus 10 habal-habal. So, I think we're barely 15% of the market. You know, the demand is very high, the need is very high. Suffice to say, we've been in a very, very uphill journey. We have sporadic operations. It hasn't been clean all throughout the last 3 years, and we've made significant investments in the space. I don't think this is the time for us to look at profits, and we haven't done so. What we've been doing is really ensuring that the safety protocols are in place. We have one of the highest, you know, I think we have one of the highest safety standards in the region. And that's something to be proud of. And I haven't seen this type of setup anywhere else. The medical response team, the emergency insurance fund for accidents, you know, the type of certifications we have, the doctor affiliates and hospitals. We're really developing that type of standard din. Sana yung angkas standard will not just be the standard for the Philippines, but will be the standard for the region. And I think kaya natin to. Mataas po talaga yung standard ng angkas, and we hope that the commuting public ensures that everybody, you know, meets the standard, kasi that's the only way that we can really effectively and safely operate motorcycle taxis, not just in the Philippines but anywhere else in the world. Huwag mong bawasan.
60. And then, another is, since na you're following na yung requirements ng DOT or TWG ng LTFRB na mag-submit ng 10,000, meron po ba kayong message sa mga nag-iiwan yung 17,000 riders in public po para at least they will hear?
Well, sa akin, wag po natin isipin na tapos na po na may iwan na po talaga sila. I mean, ako, hopeful pa rin ako na magagawa po natin ang paraan to. But despite that, contrary to popular belief, we have been complying over time. In fact, when it was given to us on December 20, December 22 was the partial list that we complied with. And then we've been complying ever since. So, I mean, rest assured guys, no? Siguro naman may tiwala na po kayo kay Apcas. Patagal na po tayo nagsama. Diba? We may be very passionate about the safety and the riding public, but our firm belief was always to comply with the regulators and be part of the solution. Diba? From Congress to Senate to LTFRB to DOTR, this is not the first time po that there have been misunderstandings and miscommunication. This is not the first time that there's been differences of opinions. But, you know, I think every single time we inch our way through. Diba? Every better off than when we were the last time. So that's what we want to impress upon the bikers. Hindi po namin kayo iiwanan. Never naman po nangyari yun eh. Diba? At yung tiwala nyo sa amin na pinakita nyo all these years and all the times that we went out to show the media, to show the people that we have the right to this livelihood, that we have, this is a dignified right, we have the right to dignity to what we're doing. I know that in the end, you know, we will win. You know, the community public will win. The bikers na gusto ng marangal na trabaho, magtatagumpay.
And then they are feeling naman na you're still, ano pa naman dahil na pwede pa silang bumalik when it's regulated.
Ang pinakamaganda talaga is we meet the demand to a certain extent. Alam nyo, even if lahat po ng kumpanya mag 30,000, that's still less than 50% of the demand. Think about it, guys. Right? If lahat ng kumpanya nagkakap ng 30,000, that's less than 50%. And it's not gonna be a riot on the streets and chaos on the streets because we know, marami doon, pesto marami doon, part-timers. Diba? Diba? So, we know that pag nagbigay ka ng cap ng 30,000, hindi man 30,000 yun sa daan eh. So, hindi tayo magiging chaotic sa daan na parang Vietnam na talagang 90% ng daan motor. Diba? Because it's a combination of private and public and taxis. Here in the Philippines, in Metro Manila, even if you give 30 cap to every the players, it's still less than 50% of the market. We're definitely okay with that, guys. We are here to work with everybody. This cannot be a competition even before it's a law. In fact, this cannot be a competition even after it's a law because we have the entire country to worry about. We have the entire country to service. It's high time that all of the operators work together hand in hand in harmony together with the regulators to make sure that this is successful. Right? And, you know, again, we prefer a pool where the drivers get to choose. And if we increase the cap of everybody, that is still deficient of the existing market demand in the streets. So again, there are many ways on how this can proceed. And this is a study, so we can study all aspects.
Last question, there's one more, and then we wrap up na para magawa na rin natin yung first. Any more questions? Wala na? Everything done? So, last one.
The DRO will expire tomorrow.
Well, I think magkakaroon yata ng hearing. So, I mean, we just leave that, again, like I said, let's leave that for the person to decide. I really can't say anything about it. I don't want to be, to influence it in any way whatsoever. Ang tawag doon, sub-judice again.
Okay. So, thank you once again, everyone. I'm sure nasagot naman ni George lahat ng mga questions that have been asked itong mga nakaraan. Thank you, and then we'll press for our discussion for everyone.
Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat. Thank you. Mabuhay po kayo.
George, beginning of the day, you are accepting this.
Oh yes, beginning of the day, that's all interviews. Thank you. Sorry, the last few weeks.